Hey everyone, in today's video, we're gonna unbox and set up a Ninja V, an Atomos Ninja V monitor and recorder. And I've used Atomos for a really long time. In fact, I have a Samurai here from way back in the day. I think I bought this 7-8 years ago for a project. And the Ninja is kind of a similar version to it. The Samurai actually had SDI and HDMI. This is a HDMI only recorder, but this will have the option to get SDI sometime in the future. But let's go ahead and open the Ninja V. I want to show you the setup process of it, how to get started with it, the battery options, some of the cord options that you want to use. This is HDMI cord I want to show you, and some of the hard drive options for recording. You could always use this as a monitor for mirrorless and DSLRs because it's HDMI, that's the best option. I'll show you a camera connection here. I have a Sony FS5 here that has HDMI, so I'm going to show you the connection from this to the Ninja, and we'll set it up, show you the Luts, everything, all about it. But let's go ahead and get started with the unboxing right now. So the Ninja V is a very cool monitor recorder that starts for about $700 just right out of the box. And here's the device. Let me just take it out of the box here. And it's pretty lightweight, very sturdy, durable. The Atomos Samurai that I showed you in the previous video is a little more bulky. This is super old, obviously, but I just still had it laying around, so I thought it's perfect to show you with this video. But the Ninja, let me show you how to get started with it right here. On the back of it, you have a battery plate. This takes the NP batteries, the Sony NP batteries that I actually have. Actually, these are made by Watson, this brand that I have, but they plug right into it just like this. And then here is where your hard drive is gonna go. And I recommend getting these Sony hard drives, these 500 gig hard drives, solid state. They actually go flush right here. So I'm gonna plug one in right here, and they just slide in, and right here they go right flush to your device here, and you're pretty much ready to go. Before I turn this on and show you the full setup of it, let me show you what else comes in the box. Let me set this aside. And underneath where the Ninja came out of, you could just move this pad here, and you have a couple of boxes underneath. So inside, you have a couple of different things. Let me just take everything out that comes in this case. That's pretty much all you have here. So let me show you what that is. You have your power supply here. So instead of using a battery that does not come with your device, but I'll put a link to these in the description, they're very inexpensive. You could actually use this here, and that will slide in and power your device. This will go right into it, and you could power it right with the power outlet right here. And that's your power. I always recommend going battery with these. It's much easier, obviously, than the power supply. And you get these caddies here where you could put your own hard drive. So if you don't want to use the Sony one that I showed you, this one's about a couple $100. You could get other SSD drives. You could go ahead and put these right inside. It comes with provided screws. The one thing this does not come with is a reader. The Samurai came with a reader, and I'll put a link in the description to the new readers that you get. But this is a USB 3 reader. It simply slides right into it like this. You plug into your computer and you download it. This is old, so it has FireWire 800 and USB 3. The new ones have USB-C, Thunderbolt 3, and so on. So let me unplug this. And now let's talk about the connection. So here you have HDMI in and you have HDMI out. This is great because you could loop in a camera feed and loop out to another monitor, for example. But I recommend getting this very expensive HDMI cable because these thin, ultra-thin HDMIs, they're very durable and they're very flexible and easy to use. If you use a bulky, cheap HDMI, I noticed that over time, it actually does give you a hard time using it. So spending 50 bucks on an HDMI may seem kind of outrageous, but when you think about it, this is gonna last you a really long time and make your life a lot easier. So I'll link to this in the description. So let me connect this to my camera so when we turn it on, we actually have a signal to talk about. Okay, so now I'm gonna turn on the Ninja and I'll show you the connection here from the camera. Again, any mirrorless DSLR doesn't matter as long as you have HDMI output to HDMI input, which you do on here, it will work. So let's go ahead and hold the power button right here on the side for a few seconds. And then you'll hear a kick on. You'll see the Atomos sign right here in the very beginning. So then you'll see this page where it shows no input. Obviously, I don't have anything connected here. So the HDMI cable that I showed you, let me go ahead and make the physical connection between the camera. Make sure the camera is in the HDMI out. So some of my cameras that have SDI out, you have to change that in the menu. So I just did do that, and it has HDMI out now. Let me go ahead and make that connection here. So HDMI goes in the camera. And then the other end of the HDMI, you basically want to put in the input, HDMI in. So that's going to be your connection here. And the out is a loop out. So if you were going to a different monitor, for example, I have this director cage here so I could loop them to each other, or I have a Teradek wireless, I could monitor it a different way. That's more advanced, obviously, that we're not going to focus on in this video. But now that the connection has been made, you could see this is my feed now coming directly into Ninja 5. So it's that simple. The connection just simply figured out what was going on and he made the connection. But if you do have any problems, just make sure you troubleshoot the connection. Make sure HDMI is selected on your camera and this physical connection is happening between HDMI in and HDMI out from the camera. So let's go over some of the settings that you could see on the monitor here. The great thing is you don't have to jump in a very detailed menu here to find things like you do in cameras. Everything is actually laid out right in front of you. So I'm going to talk about some of the things from the left to the right on top. So here is your input. So if you press this, everything is touchscreen. It shows your input and output connection. So input, I have an HDMI input at 2398. That's what my camera is set to. And it's coming from a Sony FS5. It even shows that right here from that connection. And my camera is set to S-Log 3, S-Log Gamut 3 Cine. Those are all the settings within the camera. It's getting red right here. And your output, I don't have anything, so it's going to show no output. That's the HDMI out. And my recording setup, it shows what I have remaining on the card because I have a card put in. My codec, I could change that here between ProRes and DNX. I usually do ProRes because I do edit everything on Premiere Pro on a Mac. That seems to be the best option. And ProRes HQ, you could do LT or 422 if you want to change how much you're getting out of that card. You don't have to worry about anything else here. And then under file, you could name your file here and you have your audio meters and things like that here. HDMI obviously has audio embedded coming into it. So as you could see, I have an audio feed coming in because HDMI from my camera is getting video and audio signal embedded into this device. So that's why you see audio meter here. But it does have a side piece here, a mic input that you could also use and a headphone out so you can monitor the recording from here if you wanted to. I usually do it from the camera's end, but you could remotely monitor everything from the Ninja itself. Then next to it, you have your out. That just brings in the same menu here where you could jump around. So everything, if you press on top, you could see the input and the output just from right here. In the middle here, if I press native right here, this will show me some other options like my LUT. So the native LUT, that's the S-Log that's showing, but you have Rec 709, you have HLG. Some of these LUT options are here, so I could just press those. I'll show you in a different video, a more advanced video on how to load your own LUTs onto this monitor here as well. I have some already here. Next to it, you have waveform, you have your focus and peaking, you have your zebra, you have LUTs. Everything is right here. So here's a bunch of different LUTs here I have. So here, I'm just selecting waveform here. And now if you come on the bottom, you could press it and then you'll get the waveform monitor here. As you could see, my image is underexposed here. Let me see if I could change it on the camera's end. I'm just opening up here on the camera. As you can see, my waveform changed a little bit. Now I'm wide open. And you have some other controls here that you could turn on, like vector and things like that are a little more advanced. And on focus and peaking, you could change the color of your focus and peaking to be red, yellow, and so on. I'm gonna turn off the waveform here so I could see the full screen again. And now to record, it's super simple. Right here on the bottom, you have record. So if you press record, you get this red box around your frame showing that the recording is in process. So if I move my camera around here, it's recording everything. And at any time I could press stop and it will stop recording. If I press play, it will show me the playback. As you can see, as soon as I start moving the camera, it's gonna actually show here because that's what I just recorded. You could always go ahead and shuffle back and forth right here. This is where I start moving the camera. And I could always scrub through my frame here. And then I could press record here to go back to the recording. Then up here, let's just jump back here. That was your recording options here. You could go up here to record ProRes. That will be the same recording option. So as you can see on top, this menu, this shows you the input, this shows you the output, this shows you the recording, and then you have your media right here. If you press that right here, that will show you your media. So you could jump within the menu so easily right here from the top, and you have your battery right here at the very end to show you the battery life. I put one of those Watson batteries on there, And I have a Watson dual battery charger, so these batteries are great. They last a long time. And you could turn on and off the thing with the menu here. The Ninja, you could turn it on and off with this, or from the button that he has on the side if you wanted to do that. And within the menu here, I was under battery, you could jump into audio here to see your audio input here if you were feeding it audio. You have your time code option here where you could type in a time code. Is starting at 1 hour right now. So if I X out of here, you could see the time code here. I've recorded for 18 seconds and 18 frames. And this is, again, if I press audio here, this audio bar, it will show me my audio feed from the HDMI input. And one last thing I wanted to show you is one of my favorite settings ever that I originally discovered on the Odyssey recorder right here that I have is false color, which is one of the best ways to adjust for exposure. So if I press false color here, which is this color bar, it shows me false color, which is from 0 exposure to 100 exposure, and to overexposure, it shows it with different ranges of color. So let me point to this light right here. You see it's red, that means it's over 100, and things that are yellow will be around 90, and then things that are gray right in the middle there are things that are correctly exposed. So here's some yellow right here, that means it's in the 90 range. So it's 0 to 100 exposure is false color. I have a complete video on false colors in this channel as well, which is my favorite way to expose for an image. It's a lot better in my opinion than using waveforms or histograms or things like that, zebras. False color is a really great visual way to look at that. Now, when it comes to the mounting of the camera, I wanted to show you my favorite arms. They're made by the same brand. They're the Cine arms by the Noga brand. And I have a shorter one here, and I have a longer one here. And I've used every arm in the market. I think I have 17 different arms throughout the last decade or so that I've bought. And I try to always get the cheaper ones. These are the most expensive arms that I actually found, but they work so well that I never went backwards to any of the other ones that are just sitting here in a junk drawer. But let me show you how to mount it. On the Ninja, you have a mount on top, and you have another one on the bottom where you could basically put your arm in. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that right here. You could also use simpler things besides arms like shoe mounts, but this one goes directly right on top here. And then you will take the other piece and mount it somewhere on your camera. Usually there is mounts right on the handles of your camera, or you could use a shoe mount, or if you have a cage, that's even better. You could go ahead and mount it right on the cage here. Okay, it's usually easier to put this on the camera first, then put it right here, but I'm gonna go ahead and lock it. So if you were to set up something like this, the bigger arm probably would have been better. And on my bigger camera, I have a cage that's a lot easier with a lot more holes, but that's pretty much how you mount it. I use this Noga arm because it locks so well right here on the camera. And it has quick release locks as well that I have on a couple of my other setups that make it really easy to install and remove from a device. So that's pretty much it. Now you have it completely set up right here on your device. I'm just gonna X out of here. And that's all I wanted to show you here with the Ninja 5 unboxing and setup. Make sure you check out the description to all the things I talked about and to the other videos on the Ninja 5, like loading your own Luts into it. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel. I post easy to follow filmmaking videos just like this one multiple times a week. And I really want to show you everything that I use in my day-to-day video production company to try to help you be more successful with your setups, with making money with video production and so on. I hope to see you on the next video, and thanks for watching this one.